Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you? Right, but seriously, most films are awful, lazy, remakes, sequels. I've heard a rumour that there might be a sequel to Sophie's Choice. I mean, that'd just be Meryl Streep going, well, it's got to be this one then.
And so to hear people say things that are just crazy, like I'm a part of a cabal and there's a whole conspiracy with children, that stuff makes me sad. It makes me sad more than anything that people would believe it. And, you know, it's taken me a long time to get to the point that I'm not, you know, I don't feel hurt by it. I don't feel personally hurt by it. But
she lived, as we all have lived, too many years in a culture broken by brutally powerful men. For too long, women have not been heard or believed if they dared to speak their truth to the power of those men. But their time is up.
Occasionally, an individual enters a platform and articulates the unspoken reality audibly. Not courteously, not cautiously, simply directly to the issue. That is precisely what occurred when Ricky Gervais presided over the Golden Globe ceremonies and provided a discourse that rendered the whole chamber appearing uneasy. You could observe it on the countenances of the most prominent celebrities in Hollywood. Apprehensive chuckling, coerced grins. Certain individuals were gazing directly forward, wishing the lens would not capture them. Gervais held a beverage in his grasp and possessed no desire for acting politely. He uttered what numerous individuals viewing from their residences had already been pondering for decades. Hollywood adores discussing ethics, yet behind the curtains, matters are not consistently as untainted as they seem. At one juncture, he cited the shamed investor Jeffrey Epstein and jested that the individuals in the chamber likely recognized him. The spectators exhaled sharply, some chuckled, but the instance immediately turned into one of the most discussed trophy presentation orations in decades. And this is the point where matters begin becoming intriguing, because when dialogues regarding Hollywood associations and influential networks commence, one identity consistently appears to arise in online debates. That identity is Oprah Winfrey. Consequently, the inquiry individuals began posing was uncomplicated. Was Gervais merely jesting, or was he gesturing towards something more profound?
Last time I'm hosting these awards, so I don't care anymore. I'm joking, I never did. NBC clearly don't care either, 5th time. So, I mean, Kevin Hart was fired from the Oscars because of some offensive tweets. Hello? Lucky for me, the Hollywood foreign press can barely speak English, and they've no idea what Twitter is. So I got offered this gig by fax. So let's go out with a bang. Let's have a laugh at your expense, shall we? Remember, they're just jokes. We're all gonna die soon, and there's no sequel. So, yeah, remember that. But you all look lovely, all dolled up. You came here in your limos. I came here in a limo tonight, and the license plate was made by Felicity Huffman. So, no, shush. It's her daughter I feel sorry for, okay? That must be the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to her. And her dad was in Wild Hogs. So, lots of big celebrities here tonight. I mean, legends, icons, yeah? Look, at this table alone, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, but Baby Yoda. Oh, that's Joe Pesci, sorry. I love you, man, don't have me whacked. But tonight isn't just about the people in front of the camera. In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you. He's coming for you. Look, talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, 2 Popes. Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care. Many talented people of colour were snubbed in major categories. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. The Hollywood foreign press are all very, very racist. So, fifth time. So, we were going to do an in memoriam this year, but when I saw the list of people that had died, it wasn't diverse enough. No. It was mostly white people. And I thought, nah, not on my watch. So, maybe next year. Let's see what happens. No one cares about movies anymore. No one goes to the cinema. No one really watches network TV. Everyone's watching Netflix. This show should just be me coming out going, well done Netflix, you win everything, good night. But no, we got to drag it out for 3 hours. You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a show about a man who wants to himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't himself. Just like
when Ricky Gervais stepped onto the platform during the Golden Globe ceremonies, he clarified that he was not present to commend Hollywood. He informed the assembly immediately that he would be targeting everyone, performers, production houses, technology firms, and the whole atmosphere of star insincerity. One of the most significant instances occurred when he nonchalantly alluded to Jeffrey Epstein. He stated he understood numerous individuals in the chamber were linked to him and jested that he was indifferent if they were uneasy perceiving it. The spectators' response was instantaneous. Certain individuals chuckled apprehensively while others appeared entirely dazed. However, the more profound motive the jest resonated so strongly was due to what had already been spreading electronically. Debates concerning influential personalities, secluded islands, confidential aviation journeys, and prominent associations were becoming more frequent. And that is the point where the expression regarding those specific documents began surfacing everywhere. Those papers cited many influential identities from governance, commerce, and show business. Some instances were insignificant. Some were merely electronic messages or gatherings. Yet the citizenry began viewing the whole celebrity environment distinctly. When an individual like Gervais publicly jests about it on live television, it strikes a chord because it violates an unvoiced regulation in Hollywood. The regulation is uncomplicated. Certain subjects are not intended to be cited openly.
Room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you. He's coming for you. Look, talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, Two Popes. Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care. No one cares about movies anymore. No one goes to cinema. No one really watches network TV. Everyone's watching Netflix. This show should just be me coming out going, well done Netflix, you win everything, good night. But no, we got to drag it out for 3 hours. You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a show about a man who wants to himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and off, okay?
Gervais did not appear to concern himself with that regulation whatsoever. And that is precisely the reason his discourse turned into one of the most frequently replayed trophy presentation instances in recent recollection. To comprehend why the dialogue continued expanding, you must grasp how influential Oprah Winfrey has been within media for decades. She is not merely a television presenter. She constructed a complete realm of authority through the Oprah Winfrey Show, her literary society, her broadcasting system, and her associations with global authorities, stars, and billionaires. For numerous individuals, Oprah symbolizes achievement, motivation, and optimism. Her discussions assisted in molding the professions of innumerable celebrities. Statesmen desired her backing. Writers petitioned that their volumes would be selected by her. Yet when dialogues concerning prominent social environments started surfacing within those specific documents, people commenced observing every individual who circulated in those influential networks. Not merely statesmen or billionaires, but media personalities as well.
You know, sometimes when people say things about you, you can easily misinterpret it as they're talking about you. I don't think people are attacking Oprah. I think they're attacking the system that protects child predators. And one of the reasons that people like Oprah, and possibly Oprah as well, is attacked in this case, in terms of the Epstein files, is because they don't speak out against it. Y'all don't take a hard stance loudly against your counterparts and your fellow billionaires and your fellow successful people. I'm successful. I'm rich. Now, obviously not to the level of these people, money-wise. This is like a whole different thing. But I understand that when I say these things, that relationships are on the line, you know, and I think for the bridges that are burnt, if there are any bridges burnt, if they're burned because I stand against child predators, then okay. And so I think this is why people can't understand that, or can't accept that these billionaires and these super successful people aren't in cahoots with each other. It's because the response is so nonchalant and flippant, and it's so selfish and self-centered. You could easily get up there on that stage, and I don't know, maybe there's a longer clip here that we don't have the context of. But you could easily get on the stage and say, hey, I understand why people are as passionate about this as they are. I understand why people go as hard as they do for this type of topic. I do as well. And I want to make it clear that I would never be involved with these people in this type of activity. And I appreciate the people that hold me accountable to make sure that I'm not. But I want you guys to know I stand against this, that, and these specific people that are involved in this. With Oprah being who she is, she don't need a relationship from nobody. So people will respect it and be able to exclude her and exclude you from these accusations if you at least took a stance against it. We don't even hear that. It reminds me of the don't get our knickers in a twist guy. You guys know this guy? Have you seen this clip on social media? Let's not get our knickers in a twist here.
They should follow the law, but let's not get our knickers in a twist here.
Let's not get our knickers in a twist over child. Why are you talking like that? It's insane. It's insane. The Epstein files is a multinational, multi-generational child and woman trafficking ring.
Watch his face on this clip when he let's not get our knickers in a twist here. Like, bro, you a weirdo too. You investigate him. Investigate him immediately. What are you talking about? Do you understand the topic? Or do you just see people that are like you, bro?
One intriguing instance that captured societal awareness involved Sarah Ferguson, the previous Duchess of York. Following monetary difficulties becoming public, it was disclosed that Jeffrey Epstein had assisted in settling some of her liabilities. Subsequently, electronic mail demonstrated that Ferguson contacted him while arranging to appear on Oprah's program, requesting counsel concerning how to answer inquiries regarding their association.
Duchess of York Sarah Ferguson has been labelled desperate and a degenerate in the latest instalment of the Epstein files, with emails between her and Jeffrey Epstein revealing she was regularly chasing money and attention from the convicted. The exchanges seemingly indicate that the disgraced ex-wife of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was very attached to Jeffrey Epstein, telling him he was her pillar. She also wrote, "I am at your service, just marry me, and this, when are you going to employ me? Also, and phew, you still love me." Here's more from journalist Andrew Pierce.
5 days after that pervert was released from prison, Sarah Ferguson was taking her daughters, or offering to take her daughters, aged 19 and 17, to have lunch with a... You could not make up what self-respecting mother, let alone Sarah Ferguson, would think that was an appropriate way to behave.
Let's bring in veteran broadcaster Dee Dee Dunleavy. Dee Dee, there's no coming back from this. She clearly knew of Epstein's depraved activities, but she's still engaged with him and even took her daughters to visit him shortly after he finished serving his sentence. Before I get your input, let's have a look at a few more emails Fergie sent Epstein, a convicted at this point. She wrote, "I have never been more touched by a friend's kindness than your compliment to me in front of my girls. And this, you are a legend. I really don't have the words to describe my love, gratitude for your generosity and kindness." And this one, not sure yet, just waiting for Eugenie to come back from a shagging weekend. I mean, why would you speak like that to a man like Jeffrey Epstein and include your daughters, Dee Dee? I just do not understand this.
No, and it's all about the timing with these correspondence between the two of them, Rita. I think you can divide all the people involved or named in the Epstein files into two categories. Those who cut off contact with him after he was convicted and sent to jail in 2008 for child offences. But it very much appears that Sarah Ferguson continued to be in contact with him. 2 days after he was released from prison, his assistant approached him and asked would he pay for flights for Sarah and for the girls to go to Miami. Now, we don't know that he did pay for them, but they certainly were in Miami a couple of days later. So the implication would be that he was paying for her to travel. And then we see other emails after that where he's asking for his business contacts to be shown around Buckingham Palace by Sarah Ferguson, and would the girls be there and would the girls be able to show them around. It's almost like she's pimping them out, and it's actually gut-churning. It's sickening. And I think the monarchy are very worried about her at the moment because there are talks that she's speaking to a ghostwriter about writing some sort of a memoir about her time at Buckingham Palace.
This particularity created news reports because it demonstrated how distinct environments intersect. Monarchy families, affluent investors, and prominent television figures were all circulating within the identical worldwide networks. None of that naturally signifies misconduct. However, once individuals commenced investigating associations cited in those specific documents, every link started provoking fresh inquiries. And in current electronic times, inquiries circulate more rapidly than solutions. An additional motive the narrative continues reappearing is because those specific documents disclose exactly how extensive the social system surrounding Jeffrey Epstein truly was. Statesmen, billionaires, scholars, stars, and commercial authorities all surfaced in distinct correspondences or archives. Identities like Bill Clinton and Donald Trump were cited in diverse papers linked to the inquiry. Both individuals recognized knowing Epstein at various junctures in the past, yet both also refuted any awareness of illegal actions.
Go to Mr. Walkinshaw, and we'll go down a series of questions.
I hate this, but because I don't believe I should inject anything. But I do not want to leave the impression, since there was no follow-up question. The president never, this is 20-something years ago, never said anything to me to make me think he was involved in anything improper with regard to Epstein. He just didn't. He just said we were friends, and then we had a falling out over a land deal, property deal. That's all.
Thank you. Could I ask very briefly, Mr. President,
Sure.
if you recall, what were the circumstances of that conversation, or at least let's start with when did the conversation occur?
It was on its golf course, and there were a couple of years there when Joe Torre, who had been the manager of the Yankees and was a friend, and had a tournament, a charitable golf tournament called, appropriately for this investigation, the Safe at Home Foundation. And it was designed to combat domestic violence, of which Joe Torre had been a victim as a child. And so I wanted to support it. And so Donald Trump gave him the golf course in New York to have a tournament on, and I played in it a couple of times. And the day I was there, he would typically, Donald Trump would come out and play a few holes with us. And he somehow knew I had flown in Jeffrey Epstein's aircraft, and he said, you know, we had some great times together over the years, but we fell out, all because of a real estate deal. And he said, I'm sorry it happened. That's all.
Do you recall whether President Trump was the first one to affirmatively bring up the subject of Jeffrey Epstein?
No, but I'd be shocked if I did. I just don't do that.
Do you recall whether President Trump elaborated at all on the great times that he had with Jeffrey Epstein?
No, and at the time, I didn't put any, sexual spin on it.
And as far as you recall, President Trump characterized the nature of the ending of their friendship as being solely due to the real estate bidding.
That's what he said.
Thank you.
But I didn't think much about it at the time. And, it was 2 minutes and we were gone.
As far as you recall, have you had any other conversations with President Trump related to Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell?
No.
And your best recollection, if you have one, of the year that this conversation occurred?
2002 or 2003.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Then there were global commercial figures like Richard Branson and technology leaders such as Sergey Brin surfacing in electronic mail correspondences or gathering arrangements. Certain interactions occurred prior to Epstein's transgressions becoming extensively recognized. Others were merely mercantile dialogues or societal solicitations. The reality is that the network was immense. Epstein passed decades constructing associations with prominent individuals across the globe. He participated in high-profile occasions, philanthropic assemblies, symposiums, and confidential sessions. Due to that, when the citizenry perceives identities surfacing in those specific documents, numerous individuals presume every link must signify something questionable. In actuality, the circumstance is significantly more intricate. Nevertheless, humorists like Ricky Gervais understand precisely how to transform that strain into a jest. When he informed Hollywood leaders that numerous among them recognized Epstein, the response was potent because it alluded to a dialogue that had already been occurring silently for decades. Occasionally comedy functions because it articulates the matter everyone else evades uttering. The circumstance encircling Prince Andrew, the sibling of King Charles III, also assisted in propelling the whole narrative back into global news reports. Accusations from Virginia Giuffre asserted she had been exploited by Jeffrey Epstein and compelled to have associations with the royal when she was a minor.
Sky News has confirmed that a series of photos of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor in the latest round of the Epstein files to be released were in fact taken inside the convicted defender's New York mansion. Some of the images show the former prince leaning over a young woman lying on the floor. Rhiannon Mills has the latest.
We have been looking very closely, our data and forensics team, trying to pick apart exactly where those photos were taken. Of course, they were among the most, you would say, surprising, some would say shocking photos that emerged from that latest drop of Epstein files over the weekend, seeing the King's brother on all fours over a woman. There is no suggestion of any wrongdoing. The difficulty also, though, about those pictures is they're undated, so we don't know exactly when they were taken, and also the photos themselves didn't tell us exactly where they were taken. But now our team have been looking very closely at some of the specific details within that room to try and pick apart where it was, and have identified that it was Jeffrey Epstein's New York City mansion. Now, if we look at the photos, The images show kind of some distinctive white paneling, which is visible on the walls. Now, we've also managed to cross-check that white paneling with another photograph of Epstein having drinks with the Hollywood director Woody Allen and an identified woman. Also, you have to look at the design on the door as well. That in itself is quite distinctive and also matches with the Woody Allen photo, but also other pictures that we found. So you can see there on the right-hand side of your screen, the picture that had Andrew in it, and then you can see another picture that was taken from Epstein's New York flat. And you can see how much work our team have gone into to make sure that we can clearly say to you that these were taken within Epstein's flat.
Prince Andrew repeatedly refuted the accusations, but the dispute became so intense that he eventually withdrew from public regal responsibilities and forfeited several titles linked to the British monarchy. His identity appeared hundreds of instances in correspondences discussed within those specific documents, including solicitations, electronic messages, and social arrangements. Certain images and allusions provoked even more inquiries regarding how intimate the association between him and Epstein had been. This regal scandal rendered something very evident to the citizenry. Epstein was not merely interacting with random affluent individuals. He possessed access to some of the most influential and recognizable people on the globe. When individuals perceived those links extending from political authorities to commercial giants and royalty, the inquisitiveness only expanded. Everyone commenced wondering how many other prominent figures had crossed paths with him.
I punch up. I have a go at people like, I don't know, Stephen Hawking, right? Yes, the greatest brain that's ever lived. He can take it, and he wouldn't even have minded when he was alive because he's part robot, isn't he? I think he's basically a talking chair, so you can say what you want. And he was on Epstein's island apparently, so I don't. What was he doing there? Why do I want to go? Why?
That inquisitiveness is precisely what humorists like Ricky Gervais tapped into throughout his Golden Globe oration. The chamber was occupied by some of the most celebrated performers and administrators in entertainment. And abruptly, an individual on platform was publicly jesting regarding the confidential associations nobody in that chamber desired to discuss. One of the motives Ricky Gervais became such a contentious presenter is that he declines to adhere to the customary Hollywood manual. Most trophy presentations are replete with secure jests and courteous praises. Presenters typically commemorate the stars seated in the spectatorship. Gervais performed the precise inverse. During the Golden Globe ceremonies, he ridiculed celebrities for coaching the citizenry concerning governance while laboring for enormous conglomerates like Apple, Amazon, and Disney. His contention was uncomplicated. Numerous Hollywood personalities adore portraying themselves as ethical authorities, yet behind the curtains, they still collaborate with firms and sectors that encounter their own grave censures. Subsequently, he provided one of the keenest phrases of the evening. He informed the victors that if they obtained a trophy, they ought to merely express gratitude to their representative, thank God, and depart the platform. According to him, most of the individuals in the chamber were not in a status to coach common people regarding how to reside.
You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a show about a man who wants to himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you?
That aggressive sincerity is what caused the discourse to become viral electronically. Millions of spectators distributed snippets because they sensed someone had ultimately challenged the atmosphere of celebrity lecturing. Once that oration commenced circulating across the internet, viewers began re-examining every phrase, particularly the instance when he cited Jeffrey Epstein. And that individual just rapidly turned into the most discussed segment of the whole evening. Following the discourse broadcasting, social media erupted with disputes. Certain individuals commended Ricky Gervais for uttering what many spectators trust. Others felt he surpassed the boundary by pulling such a gloomy subject into a comedy performance. Yet the reality is that his jest functioned because the citizenry was already directing awareness to those specific documents. Those papers had initiated a massive dialogue regarding how influential social systems function behind locked doors. When prominent individuals from governance, commerce, monarchy, and show business all surface in the identical sphere surrounding someone like Jeffrey Epstein, inquisitiveness is unavoidable. People desire to comprehend how those associations developed and what they truly signified. Personalities like Oprah Winfrey frequently turn into part of online debates simply due to how linked they are to prominent environments. Oprah interviewed presidents, billionaires, cinema stars, and royalty. For decades, her profession naturally positioned her around some of the most influential people on Earth. That does not naturally signify misconduct. However, in the era of viral snippets and electronic inquiries, any link can abruptly become a major conversational issue.
Honestly say that I am proud to come from, a history of domestic workers, because what else was available to an uneducated black woman in the 50s and 60s and early 70s? And my mother, my grandmother actually expected that that's what I would become. I've told that story of my grandmother saying, "You better watch me now, because one day you're going to have to learn how to do this for yourself." She was hanging up clothes, and I knew that is not going to be my life. But my grandmother had no greater expectation for my life than that I would become a domestic worker.
And so that's, Oprah, what fascinates me. So the experience you saw of your grandmother was being a domestic worker, of your mother. Where was it that you saw something that was bigger than that led that girl to become this woman?
Well, when I got into my father, the notion of what you could be changed, but it didn't grow to extend to the idea that I could be anything other than a teacher, which I always thought I was going to be a teacher not because of Mr. Abrams, but because of my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Duncan.
Miss Duncan, who, by the way, was on when you had Mr. Abrams on the show. Ms. Duncan was there too.
I know, that was
it was so good.
So Ms. Duncan was my fourth grade teacher, who not only did she, I don't know if she believed in me, but she certainly recognized that I had something going on for myself. And because of Mrs. Duncan, I always wanted to be a fourth grade teacher. I really had wanted to be an actress, but my father said, "No daughter of mine that's not gonna happen. Forget that." Because Hollywood is casting couches, and forget that. That is not gonna happen to a daughter of mine. So I had just decided to give up on that dream. And then there's this, fateful moment that I'm in the Miss Fire Prevention contest.
Oh, yes.
That fateful moment.
Oh, yeah.
And I had never thought about what I would be other than a teacher. I thought, well, I will major in speech and drama, and I will teach theater, because I can't be in the theater. I will teach theater. And it was my 16-year-old self that had turned on the Today Show that morning, and I saw Barbara Walters. And when I was in the midst of this contest being asked a question about what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to be when you grow up? All the other answers had been taken. There'd already been 2 girls that said they wanted to be teachers. So I really was trying to think of searching. What can a woman do? What can I say a woman can do?
Walters.
And I said I wanted to be a journalist and tell stories in order to help people to see their lives differently. I don't know. I channel that answer. And so seeing a Barbara Walters, and, I remember also when I was in Baltimore and I already started my career in television, and I had said to an agent that I had in Baltimore that I just wanted to have my tape submitted. David, would you please submit my tape to Good Morning America so that I could substitute for Joan London?
Wow.
And this agent said to me, "I'm not going to even do that because they've already got a black person." I go, "No, they don't. They really don't." And he said, "Well, they've got Brian Gumbel on NBC." I go, "But he's on Channel 4. He's on NBC." They go, "Well, there's only going to be one." And so he would not submit.
This is the reason why Gervais' oration continues reappearing years subsequently. It captured an instance when a humorist stood before Hollywood's most prominent stars and cautioned them that the citizenry was directing awareness. Occasionally humor reveals a more profound strain that everyone else is endeavoring to disregard. Reviewing now, the instance when Ricky Gervais jested concerning Jeffrey Epstein throughout the Golden Globe ceremonies feels like more than merely a comedy segment. It felt like a photograph of a broader societal transition. For decades, celebrities were regarded nearly like unreachable personalities. Their viewpoints mold public dialogues, and trophy presentations were meticulously regulated environments where uneasy subjects seldom surfaced. However, that instance demonstrated something had transformed. Spectators at residence were already cognizant of debates encircling influential systems and the disclosures emerging from those specific documents. When Gervais cited it on platform, it felt like someone had ultimately recognized the obvious reality in the chamber. Identities from governance, monarchy, commerce, and show business all surfaced in distinct segments of that massive narrative. Certain links were blameless. Some were merely social engagements from years prior. Yet the magnitude of the system compelled individuals to pose more profound inquiries regarding how authority and entry truly function at the loftiest tiers of society. And because personalities like Oprah Winfrey have passed decades moving within those prominent environments, they naturally turn into part of the dialogue as individuals endeavor to assemble the larger perspective. Yet the genuine inquiry persists. When influential people occupy the identical social environments for years, how much do they truly understand concerning each other's realms? Inform us what you ponder in the remarks beneath. If you enjoy this recording, strike that registration button so that you never fail to notice any fresh recordings. And until then, family, maintain it genuine.